These cases are so complex and so dynamic that no one individual, no one agency, no one organization can handle everything that's associated with these cases. It takes partnerships.
Todd Martinet, I'm a detective with the Flagstaff Police Department.
Stacy Krieger, I'm with the County Attorney's Office and I specialize in felony prosecution.
Pam Turner, forensic nurse with NACASA.
Cece Mitchell, Sharon Manor, domestic violence shelter, transitional housing. We are full.
Just really need to start one individual at a time if you haven't traveled this path yet. And before you know it, you'll be meeting on a regular basis and you'll know one another on a first-name basis.
The key here is that the multidisciplinary, multi-agency feel to community intervention is that we learn a lot from each other about how to do things. The first responder learns how compromised the Child Protective Service worker is. They learn how the prosecutor needs certain elements of the offense written down and clearly articulated in a certain way in order to effect a prosecution.
One of the new factors that's required is that they have to consider a lethality assessment if one was conducted as part of a determination for bond. So that makes a big difference for their considerations.
We're not here to shame or blame any agency for anything. We're just trying to evolve and fix our system.
Are we putting them at risk? Are we going to put them in harm's way? So we want to make sure that we do this correctly, privately, and that we have good resources to refer them to.
We also seek for small accomplishments, just kind of on top of each other, because it's the little changes that make the biggest impact.
Before, we would serve the order of protection and no one would ever hear about it again. Now we're capturing the plaintiff's information, phone numbers and all that stuff. So now officers serve it, they have that sheet, they call the plaintiff and let that plaintiff know. Just want to let you know, hey, we served this order of protection, it's now in effect.
It's incredible. They call me and they say, they served it and he called me back. I was like, wow, and I was just shocked. It was fantastic and it's been fantastic. Thank you.
The community has to work together and educate one another about what the needs are of the victim and then also understand what the obstacles are. Is it that she can't get to court that day? Is it the prosecutor has to continue this case so we can get her to court? Is it that she needs financial assistance from the domestic violence program? Does she need transitional housing?
Okay, and there's resources in there. Please, please, please take advantage of some of those, okay? We have 2 victim advocates that they're going to be with you side by side every step of the way, okay? They're there to provide any kind of assistance that you need, okay? And they do a fantastic job.
They may need food. They may need clothing, they may need shelter, they may need transportation, counseling services, medical care. There's a laundry list of needs. Often they've left home without anything, including a cell phone. So sometimes they need an extra outfit for the kids, sometimes they need a toothbrush, they need something for a couple of meals. So whatever they need, if we don't have it here, we try to procure it.
I love advocates. I think every officer should use their advocates.
All this hot air in here.
Oh, yeah.
After I got in, huh? Is that what you're trying to say? There's no way that I could do what they do. And that's very important. And the same with prosecutors. There has to be a mutual respect. It takes a law enforcement officer and a prosecutor and an advocate that can leave their egos outside the door and understand that everybody has a responsibility and a role that's meaningful to the survivor.
You can't address the whole, right? I mean, that's why we have coordinated community responses. That's why we've got the EMTs and the paramedics and the healthcare providers and law enforcement and prosecutors and judges and juries and advocates. I mean, it's going to take all of us to help even just one person.
You're told you're old, you're ugly, you're fat, you're this. I just had all I could take, and I filed for divorce.
When she leaves is the most dangerous time. And so even though an officer may say, this is what you have to do, this is going to be in your best interest, it's also the most dangerous play for her at that time.
June 5th, 2011 is the day I took my 2.5-hour beating. That's the day he used the box cutter on Lucy. I had Lucy on my lap, and he asked me again to stop the divorce, and he started crying. I still don't know what he hit me with. When I come to, I could see Lucy, and she was covered in blood. And I could hear him cussing her. Shut that shit up or I'll kill you too. And I made it to the road. I couldn't see, but I could feel the road under my feet.
And all we knew was that someone had been beaten up really bad and that she was at the local gas station.
This is a small community. I've known Tony since he maybe 7, 8 years old. He didn't know who it was. He had no clue who it was. I'm glad you're the one that went to the house and got Lucy. I know that when you got her, she was okay.
That's who the survivor's going to remember. They're going to remember that face, that person that came to the rescue.
I knew we had to get that child.
And so they're going to want to get answers and be able to contact that person. The officers don't have time. Because the detectives had called me and asked me, could I meet you at the courthouse the next day?
Without the advocate team, I couldn't have done it. I've never been through anything like this in my life. I had no clue what I was doing. I would literally write 2 or 3 lines and throw up my trash can. And Sarah stayed right there through it all.
The sooner that somebody can grab that victim's hand and say, I'm going to be holding your hand from point A to point Z. Wherever you go and you want me there, I'm going to be there with you. There's so much relief in that.
Come here. Mama, turn around. Where's your scar?
It's right here.
Right there? It's laying down good, isn't it? Sarah put me in touch with everybody that I needed to be in touch with.
Easy.
She connected me to the service that pays for my hospital bills. There's no way I could have paid those. Vine notifies me of his projected parole dates. We would get one thing completed and she'd say, okay, this is our next step.
Sometimes advocates can get information from survivors that officers weren't able to get because we develop a longer-term relationship. We see them more often. We can delve into topics in a relaxed atmosphere.
I can still hear his voice. I can still see Lucy. Your victim advocate doesn't judge you. They sit and listen to you so that you can heal. And I can still hear her crying. And when I hear that...
I and law enforcement in the criminal justice system has to work with all of the other service providers so the road is clear and compact. There's no gaps. When the victim says, I'm ready to leave, we are ready for you when you're ready to leave.
It's just kind of a good feeling for me to know that us as first responders, we can get that ball rolling.
If we're to really build our communities, we've got to make it a real community. We as officers have to be a part of that community and want to be a part of that community.
You need everybody at the table. Members of faith, people within the criminal justice system, outside the criminal justice system. You need everyone if you're going to make a difference with this.
I just want to let you know and to let Officer Best know, you guys just will never know how much I appreciate you, Tony.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm at a very good point in my life. I have a successful career. I have a man that just thinks the world of me.
Are you making cookies?
My grandchildren, my daughter, my life is good.
Dr. Peterson does that to him. He loves it.
Well, listen, tell your dad hi for me. I'll have fun time run up and sing. Treat your victim like they're your family. All right, Tony. Bye. That's your family, but for the grace of God, that's one of your family members standing there. Treat them like they're your family.